How you doing, Coach?
Good, how you doing?
Good. Coach, you've had some issues, some OPIs called on you with those crossing routes the last 3 or 4 games. What's the issue there? Is it just a matter of selling the ball, or is it technique-wise? What seems to be the issue there?
Well, it's something we got to clean up, as a group as a whole. I mean, each one's got its own individual issues. We just got to make sure we're cleaner on that and not putting ourselves in positions for the officials to make penalties. So we just got to keep on moving in the right way and make sure we don't do it the wrong way.
Coach, just to follow up, when you saw that Ingram flag last week, did you agree with that flag, or did you kind of have to grab Ingram and clean that up a little bit?
Well, it doesn't matter whether we agree with it or not. It was a penalty. So we talked to all of our players about what happened, why it was called, and what we have to do differently to make sure we don't put anybody in a position to have a penalty called on them.
Thank you.
All right. Joe, how did you think Golden handled the situation last week once you guys had that conversation and you came to the decisions that you did? He was in a different role, obviously, during the week.
Yeah, look, we're kind of past that issue right now, Tom. We're getting ready to play Philly right now. Golden's getting ready to play Philly as well right now. I love the way he came to practice yesterday. Love the way he's preparing so far today. We're going to be on the field today. We'll be over in the stadium. I think it'll be a good opportunity for the entire team to work on the turf for a day today and get moving forward with it. But, look, we're totally past the whole situation last week. It is what it is. I'm looking forward to getting Golden on the field with us when we're rolling fast.
How's Dante Freeman doing? And where's your running back rotation at now with the way Wayne's performed, even if he does come back?
Yeah, in terms of the rotation part at first, it's, look, whoever's at the game, we're going to look to use. And I think right now Burton's doing a good job just mixing those guys in throughout the game and kind of keeping them fresh, Jordan. So, we discuss obviously keeping everybody involved before the game. And as we get into the game, Burton does a good job of knowing, where everybody is individually and keeping everyone involved. Devontae moved around yesterday. He looks like he's getting better along the way. Today's the first day we'll get to see him really moving full speed, Jordan. So we'll get a much better look at him today in terms of how he looks. But he's definitely making progress. He's working hard. He's done everything the trainers and the coaches have asked of him right there, so he's fighting hard to get back.
I feel like I ask this every few weeks, but has Wayne sort of earned himself more opportunities?
I think every player on the team earns himself opportunities with the way they play. I think right now Wayne's doing a good job of being productive for us as a team. He's made a lot of improvement throughout the year. We have a lot of confidence in Wayne. He's done a good job in the run and the pass game. I see improvements with him in terms of his pass protection. I've seen improvements in him really running downhill and getting into space and being able to make sure he extends drives right there. So, look, I'm pleased with the way Wayne's playing. I'm pleased with how Alfred's playing, Devontae's playing, and Deion's playing. These guys have all done a good job changing up. When we handed the ball off to whether it's a receiver or Evan or some different combination we've had, those guys have all ran the ball hard for us. So I'm pleased with the way all of our guys in the run game are playing.
Hi, Leonard.
Hey, Joe, you might not be thinking about this right now, but I was just curious with the bye week coming up, teams can't leave for their bye weeks now because of the protocol. So, can you bring people's families in so they can see their families or fly them in here? Or do you have certain things organized for guys to keep everything kind of contained, or do you have to let them go? How does that all work?
Well, everyone has to test every day. So in terms of trying to keep them around here, we're going to give them off next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, that's going to be done for the players already. We can make it available for the players if their families come in and get tested and make sure they're in the right position. I've talked to a couple of our guys already. I'm not going to go specifically as who, that are looking to bring their families up. We just want to make sure that everyone has what they need on the front end. Maybe get their families up here a little bit early, the opportunity to get them tested to make sure everyone's in kind of that same situation of knowing where we've been. That being said, I think it just comes down to we all have to be very, conscious of what we do in those few days off and make the right decisions on where we go and who we're around. And that's easier said than done. Look, I can tell you personally from my standpoint, I got a ninth graders in high school. He's going to high school right now with kids from all over New York, New Jersey, some parts of Pennsylvania going to his high school. So it's a deal right there where, I've got to remind him on a daily basis too of hey, look, dude, you've got to make sure you wear your mask. Look, there's been a lot of weekends where, I haven't been able to let him just go out and hang out at parties or walk the streets of some of the towns and hang out because, to be honest with you, we've got to be conscious of if I let him do that, what am I bringing back into my house? What may I bring back to the team? So it's tough. There's tough effects it has on everyone's individual families. There's a lot of sacrifices people are making that go very unnoticed. But, our players' families are making a tremendous sacrifice as well. You've got players that haven't seen their wives or kids for some time now. And whereas it's a normal year, they may fly out for the game weekend, see the game. Obviously, that's not the case. In a normal year with a normal bye week, they would go home, see some family, kind of get a mental reset before coming back up. That's not the case either. So we've got to do the best job we can for the players of letting them have some mental downtime on the back end of next week. All right, that's something we have to do to kind of let them refresh and go through. We've been pushing these guys hard for some time. We're going to push them hard again today and tomorrow. And we get into next week, we'll figure out what's best for the team based on, how this weekend goes in terms of practice versus walkthrough with the health of the team and all that stuff. But at the same time, we've got to let these guys have a little bit of time. And 4 days in a season now seems like a month, I'll tell you right now. So you get 4 straight days as a coach or a player, it's kind of you come back and everyone's a little bit rusty too, to be honest with you. It's amazing how fast you can forget basic things when you can go ahead and shut your mind off for a minute. But we have to give them the opportunity to kind of mentally reset. And hopefully they do have the opportunities to see family or see friends. We just want to make sure that they do it safely by knowing where everyone's been and making sure everybody's been tested if that's an opportunity.
Thanks.
We'll take 2 more. Duggan and Art. Duggan.
Hey, Joe. With Matt Paradis, he's obviously played both sides, and that's a good thing for you. It's a good thing for him to get on the field. But when you look at him, you obviously want him to, I'm sure, settle in one spot eventually. Is his skill set better suited for left or right, or have you made that determination?
No, we haven't made that determination. Right now we're just pleased with how he's playing on both sides, and that's definitely been a strength for us. And look, as we work into the guards as well, we're going to start moving different guys on different sides, and that may be new for a couple guys, Shane, Will, and those guys who haven't typically played on the right at different times. But we've practiced it that way. We'll continue to practice it and play it. I talked in training camp a lot about that in terms of, practicing all the linemen on both sides and building in their flexibility and versatility. So, you kind of talk initially of why that's important. I think we're seeing right now of how that's important to the team to give us the opportunity in games of playing different guys on both sides. So, we're not looking to play musical chairs just to confuse everybody. We're just looking to make sure that we keep building our team's depth and get everyone an opportunity to get on the field and contribute.
Thanks, Joe.
This one here, Art.
Hey, Joe, I know you're obviously going to get really a first chance to see Will back out there in pads, presumably today. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious, how do you handle that over the next couple days? I mean, I know it's I assume great to have him back in the mix, but does the medical team kind of have to handle his situation differently than maybe you would a different type of injury? And from your perspective, how do you handle that?
As a coach, to be honest with you, I rely on the medical team right here. When they give us the thumbs up and say he can do X, Y, Z in practice, we put him through X, Y, Z. If they say he can't do something, we don't ask him to do that right there. Right now we're going to practice. We'll be in pads today. So it'll give everyone a chance to kind of pop and get some contact and move around with the weight on them. Will looked good yesterday. It was only a walkthrough. We always typically get a little bit of a bounce and walkthrough. It's a little bit more than the walk. It's more of a jog to stride, however you want to phrase that right there. But Will looked good yesterday moving around. Now, that being said, there's a difference in moving around a walkthrough than it is going through a practice of a high intensity. So we'll get a chance to see him today. And obviously our guys will have their eyes on him to see how he progresses throughout the day. And then also how he recovers tomorrow. There's a lot more things in play than just, the lungs and things like that nature from this, virus. It's also just 2 weeks of not playing ball. What's the muscle fatigue, the muscle soreness like? How's his body recovering? Just more of the athletic stuff that comes with it. So we got to take a look at Will and make sure we're doing the right thing by him, and ultimately that'd be the right thing by the team.
You mentioned earlier this week how you are aware and conscious of the bye coming up next week. Is his situation also factor into that timeline and how much you push over the next couple of days, knowing that you do have, that on the back end?
We haven't really factored that in for his specific situation. For Will, to me, it's more of just where's he individually, in a physical nature right now. It's a little bit different than the other guys coming off possibly starting our clock on IR or whatever that may be. It's a little bit different in that realm because you're not battling the 21-day thing with Will. I mean, he's back. He's on the active roster. He's back in practice with the team. To me, it's just making sure that any player you put on the team can physically perform and defend themselves out there in action.